Baby Doll and Dusty could wear the same jeans. Here we go.
By the hair! He looks like he's going to clothesline her. Dusty got it out of the way. He gets caught with it. He got caught with it. A tremendous clothesline. He saved Baby Doll and he took the full force of that sickle. The ring filling up. The ring filling up with wrestlers, but 2 men have fallen. 2 men are down. That Magnum was down from the chain. What a wild finish to that match, fans. You saw the Russians and the East German Baron von Raschke, all three attack Magnum TA. They had the chain. They were working him over. Dusty Rhodes comes flying into the ring to give Magnum TA some help, really, to keep him from getting seriously injured. Baby Doll also got in there, and you've never seen anybody fight like Baby Doll was fighting in the ring, and she was fighting for Dusty. Just as the big Russian, Nikita Koloff, looked like he was going to put the Russian sickle on Baby Doll, while Ivan held her by the hair of the head, Dusty Rhodes came flying at her, knocked her out of the way. He took the full force of that sickle right across the throat, almost took his head off. Then we had just a ring full diving in to break it up. What a wild and woolly time right there. And fans, let's go back and let's see some of that was going on into the ring there.
So yeah, you saw Dusty try to get her out of harm's way. He hit her with like a low key spear, or shoulder tackle, and down she goes.
And what you're also seeing here is a show that went way short.
Yes, and they're trying to fill time again.
Right, that's why they threw Bob Caudle in. And I thought Bob did a great job on the fly, not knowing he had to.
Yeah,
to fill time, and he was filling time until Wayne Daniel got the replay ready. So I thought Bob did a great job here. But that's again a show that you can't go back and post. You got a certain amount of time. You got to fill it, right? It's kind of like it's live to tape. That's what we say.
Yeah,
it's a live show, and he's got to kind of fill it. And so did a good job there.
Baby Doll had that wagon, didn't she?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good wagon.
Oh, it was Roll Tide. Just saying.
I liked it.
Hey, Bob's back. We got somebody here. Back, buddy. He's just going to filibuster.
Yeah, I know. He's just going to fill the time here. Bob's doing a great job of doing that. And so these were good angles. I mean, one thing that I noticed, I know you did, was when Nikita and was attacking the girl and or trying to fend off the girl. He wasn't attacking the girl, obviously. Trying to fend off the girl. And the Road Warriors said the fans were into it big time, weren't they?
Big time.
Yeah, that crowd reaction is legit. There's no sweetening of that crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how hot it was back then. I'm not so sure. Well, listen, we do have great crowd responses now when we had full houses.
Sure.
We had great, but nothing like that. It was a different era. It was the sound was different. And they're going to show it once again. Here's in slow motion. Let's see if he works this sickle or not.
Well, TA was falling down, but still he connected.
Yeah, he did. He was trying to, but again, Nikita's green. And I said on our podcast, the last man of the three that I want to hit me with that sickle. Look at Bob saying, holy shit.
Track it. You know what, though? I want to hear him say goodbye. I'm going to rewind it a little bit.
Okay.
The beginning of the end as it all broke loose at that point. All right, fans, we're going to see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
I like his sign off.
So long for now.
I love the old JCP Sports logo right there, too. Just very primitive graphic, but great stuff.
Yep. Oh, a lot of these people I remember. Wayne Daniel, they put Wayne Daniel in there twice. Brenda Evans did our electronic graphics. There's Jackie and Doug Dellinger, Skeeter Brawley. I don't think Skeeter's with us. Larry McGraw was another cop from Charlotte, North Carolina. Klondike Bill doing the lighting. And remote facilities by Nemo.
Shout out to Klondike Bill's family, who I've recently become more acquainted with.
Yep, good people.
Skeeter Brawley. What a name. Did his mama name him Skeeter?
No. Skeeter was a legendary. I would say legendary. Skeeter ran and Toby Jenkins were from Columbia, South Carolina, and Skeeter ran camera for a long time. I think he recently passed away. Every time the Georgia Bulldogs would play South Carolina in basketball in South Carolina, I would always see Skeeter still running a camera. So he'd been around for a long time. So what a crew.
Well, this was fun, boys and girls, and hopefully we're adding a little context to what's going on in Jim Crockett Promotions. We're going to try to fill up the backlog. We missed episodes from January 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th, as well as the first episode of February, which was the first. We're going to go back and backfill that, but you can look forward to in the future, every Saturday, you're going to get another Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling until what's on the network runs out. But Tony, that was kind of fun. I like just seeing Bob Caudle a little more.
Yeah. Bob's tremendous and a great, legitimately good person. And I love that you talked about backfill, because we talked about backfill a lot during the show. Jeans, backfill, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Well, listen, this is good stuff. I had a fun time with you today, and unfortunately it looks like it's about that time.
We are desperately out of time. The tape machines are rolling. We will bring you once again some shows here on ad-free shows going back and reliving 1986. But until that time, thank you for joining us on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday. And of course, adfreeshows.com. Conrad Thompson, and it's 6:05 on Saturday. You know what that means. It's time for Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm great. I'm going back, Conrad, again, and taking a look at some of the old Mid-Atlantic stuff, the old territories, as they're calling them on the WWE network. And we're at a time, we've been covering 1986 the entire year. We're at a really a transitional time, I would think, because Crockett has been on TV, national TV, for a couple of years, and the WWE is moving out. So what I'm trying to say is that we're at the end of the territories, I would think, right? 86, around that time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's an important part in the history of pro wrestling. It really is. I'm glad to be watching it.
I'm glad to be watching it too. Of course, we're doing a new thing here that we just started last week. We're going to be watching the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling show every Saturday. It's a companion piece for the WTBS show. Tony, in case people are hearing this extra little bonus piece for the very first time, explain what Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, the TV show, was.
For those of you, let's say, who grew up watching the WWF, they had two syndicated shows, Superstars and Challenge, their A show and their B show. Jim Crockett Promotions had two shows, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling and Worldwide Wrestling. They're two syndicated shows. Mid-Atlantic was really their A show, because that was the one that was put into the key markets in the Carolinas, Virginia, and maybe some of the other places. Worldwide was their B show, kind of flipped later, but this was their A show, their syndicated show. I don't know if you've uncovered, and maybe Dick Bourne knows, how many stations Mid-Atlantic was on at its peak. But it was on the big markets in the Carolinas.
It's funny you say that, because we just discovered that in talking with Jim Crockett Jr. For our brand new interview that, by the time you're hearing this, comes out tomorrow. Cool. And we're pretty excited about that. It'll be a two-parter. Part one is over 3 hours, but in part two, we talk about the purchase of Bill Watts territory. And of course, that's been cussed and discussed for decades. But we got an insight into what the business proposition of that was. And usually when you hear people be critical of that decision, it's just the boys. It's not someone who was necessarily office. And Crockett explained, hey man, he helped me get over the magic number we needed to be a major player in syndication. And from what I understand, that number was 100. So they had just over 100 stations once they got Crockett's territory. But I guess it makes sense, if you're trying to sell commercial space to, Post Serial, they don't just want to buy ads in the Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi. No, they want to buy ads nationally. And if you can have a bigger footprint and not buying onesie twosie buys, but buying, we're in over 100 markets, that's pretty attractive.
Right.
So Crockett is still actively trying to grow the business behind the scenes, and they're making money hand over fist here. I mean, some record houses, but at the same time, expenses are going nuts, and they don't have all of the ancillary income from things like merchandise. And we discuss all of that in the new interview with Jim Crockett. So I hope people check it out. It'll be the second episode of Conversations with Conrad.